Hey you guys, I'm Kate, I'm a pharmacist, and last week I saw the reel on Instagram by Alice and Turquoise, and this topic made me really sad, and I decided to dig into it, and now you can see the reel itself.
Sunscreen brands are lying to you. This ad shows a completely unfair comparison between a 100% mineral drugstore sunscreen and this brand founder's mineral sunscreen. As to be expected in this comparison, the drugstore mineral sunscreen leaves a very noticeable white cast, whereas her mineral sunscreen mysteriously blends beautifully into the skin. When we take a look at this ingredient list, what do we find but a European chemical filter snuck inside the inactive ingredient list? Yet another example of deceptive brand marketing.
Thanks Alison for an amazing reel, it's really a great topic. I'm leaving the link to Alison's Instagram in my description box down below, and she's amazing guys, I'm following her for years. Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel, how have you been? If you're new here, hey I'm Kate, I'm a pharmacist and I'm very happy to see you here. So let's start, and let me first remind you about the difference between chemical and physical sunscreens. So chemical filters, for example, avobenzone or oxybenzone, they absorb UV rays and they act like a sponge, and they usually don't tend to leave any white cast. And there are physical filters like zinc oxide or titanium dioxide. They act like a shield, so they are deflecting the UV rays from your skin into the environment. But actually there were a lot of studies recently that show that only 5% or 10% they are really deflecting, and the rest of it they really absorb and transform it to the heat. So basically chemical filters and physical filters are almost the same, I would say. And now we also have tinted sunscreens which contain iron oxide, and iron oxides are great because they can actually also protect you from the visible light. And I myself have 3 requirements for a great sunscreen. First, it should offer broad spectrum protection, which means it should protect me from UVA and UVB radiation. The second is that SPF should be at least 30. SPF is the sun protection factor, and SPF 30 means that this sunscreen protects you from 97% of the UVB rays. If you see SPF if you see SPF is how well your sunscreen protects you from UVB rays, and PA with pluses shows how well your sunscreen protects you from UVA radiation. And number 3 is that sunscreen should be waterproof. And no sunscreen is really waterproof. They really show it in minutes, for example 40 minutes or 50 minutes or 80 minutes waterproof. So after you went swimming, it's best, especially if you dried yourself with a towel, it's best to reapply your sunscreen anyways. And actually guys, even if you're not swimming, waterproof sunscreen is great because you are sweating, especially in summer. We all are. So obviously the sunscreen regulation rules are different in Europe and in US. In Europe we have EMA, European Medicine Agency, and in US we have FDA, Food Drug Administration. And guys, there are different filters, there are different sunscreen filters registered in Europe and US. And actually the last time FDA updated their sunscreen filter list in 1999, so it's 24 years ago guys. So in US there are 16 sunscreen filters registered, but not all of them are routinely used, and you can actually see the filters registered here. And not all of them are routinely used. There actually are only 8 of them which are most used sunscreen filters, and these are oxybenzone, avobenzone, octazolate, octacrylene, homosalate, octane oxide, these are the chemical ones, and zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, the mineral filters or physical filters. And also a big difference from the Europe is that in US sunscreens are regulated as OTC drugs, and they need to display the active ingredients, their chemical filters as active ingredients with the concentrations, and other ingredients as inactive ingredients. So yeah, this is a big difference from Europe. Also, the sunscreens in US need to be the pre-market registered by FDA. And at the same time in Europe, our sunscreens are basically cosmetic products, and let me read it out. Cosmetic products means any substance or mixture intended to be placed in contact with external parts of human body, epidermis, hair system, nails, lips, the external genital organs. or the teeth and mucous membranes of the oral cavity, with a view exclusively or mainly to cleaning them, perfuming them, changing their appearance, protecting them, keeping them in good condition, or correcting body odors. So basically, sunscreen is a cosmetic product protecting our skin. And UV filters means substances which are exclusively or mainly intended to protect the skin against certain UV radiation by absorbing, reflecting, or scattering UV radiation. So yeah, there are mineral filters and there are chemical filters. And in Europe, there are 28 sunscreen filters registered, and there is no need to display the active ingredients. So basically, you can find your sunscreen filters just in the ordinary ingredient list without any actives or inactives. So basically, if you are not a cosmetic chemist, you won't find them. And yeah, we all know zinc oxide and titanium dioxide and American filters, but we don't learn by heart all the 28 names of European sunscreens because they are huge. And you can see it here. So there are differences in population, in the packaging, in the filters itself, but what is there in common is that all of them use SPF boosters, and SPF boosters are actually the substances that act like sunscreen filters but are not registered as sunscreen filters. So they like boost the formula and make the SPF number higher, make your sunscreen protection better without making it greasy, oily, and white as Casper. So basically, if you are in US, you don't need to display the SPF boosters as active ingredients, but they actually act like chemical filters. So they are chemical filters, but just they are not registered in Europe or in US. And the most famous one is butyloctyl salicylate. I don't know how to pronounce it in English, but that is how I would say it. And yeah, this is the most famous one, and you actually can find it in a lot of mineral sunscreen, but also in chemical sunscreens too. But it's not a problem in chemical sunscreens because there's no false advertising. If it's chemical sunscreen and they have a chemical filter, one more, one less, who cares? The SPF number is higher, we're happy, and sunscreen is really great and effective and seamless. But if there is a false advertisement, if there are false claims that this sunscreen is 100% but if there are false claims and false advertising that this sunscreen is 100% mineral or this sunscreen is chemical filter free, which we can say so because butyloctyl salicylate isn't really a registered chemical filter, okay, but it is a chemical filter by the mechanism of action, and it's actually very similar to actinoxide, and they are basically twins. And this makes me sad because if you don't tell me that this sunscreen is 100% mineral and all the chemical filter free, amazing, only zinc, only titanium dioxide, and this is fine if you still use this, but if you claim those things and you still add the chemical filter. And Alison in her reel was talking about the Covey Skin 100% mineral foundation, mineral sunscreen, Covey Skin 100% I just can't. Covey Skin 100% mineral sunscreen, and the founder of the Covey Skin, I suppose, was showing how bad was the sunscreen on this side, the mineral sunscreen. I suppose it's just regular drugstore sunscreen, and on this side she showed how gorgeous her skin looks when wearing her sunscreen. And of course it is, because it contains chemical filter, and it's sad. It's sad that it's not regulated. It's sad that they can do it, that they can pull it off. And there are a lot of girls who will be using the amazing mineral sunscreen and will be hating other mineral sunscreens which are not as great because they don't contain chemical filters. And if you see something too perfect, it's probably a lie, guys. And I mean, we don't have to hate mineral sunscreen for leaving the white cast, it's just how they work. And there are actually tinted sunscreens, and if the tone of the tint is great for your skin, you can absolutely use it, and these are amazing, I really like them. And iron oxides also protect you from the visible light, which is amazing, and I really like tinted sunscreens. I didn't use them a lot because I really go for Korean sunscreens lately, and yeah, that's it. Oh yeah, which also makes me really sad is that I put the ingredients to Skin Charisma website. I showed you before and I will show you again today. And this doesn't show any chemical or any sunscreen filters besides zinc oxide. And yeah, if you're not a cosmetic chemist, if you're not a pharmacist, if you're not really into skincare like me, who will be Googling those things, you won't know. And this makes me sad. So again, thank you Alison for the idea for this video, and yeah, if you want to check her out, the link in the description box. And I actually decided to dig a little bit deeper and I visited the Sephora website, and oh my god, oh my god guys, almost all the mineral sunscreens have butyloctyl salicylate in them, and I don't know if I want to talk about this, but probably should. But we can, for example, compare two brands which use the false advertising and big claims, and the one brand that doesn't. So this is a new sunscreen by Kosas, a mineral sunscreen. Kosas is actually an amazing brand, and I worked with them in the past on my Instagram when I had activity on my Instagram. For now, I'm just so inactive. And yeah, I'm focusing on YouTube now, guys. So yeah, I work with Kosas and they send me their products, their makeup, and I really loved almost everything. And their blushes is amazing. They have this oil foundation and it's amazing. Basically everything everything they have is amazing, and I really love Kosas. But yeah, they have this new sunscreen, and of course if we watch the ingredient list, butyloctyl salicylate, of course. But what I actually found, and which probably makes it a bit better, is that there are no claims. They don't claim to be 100% mineral, and they don't claim to be chemical filter free. So basically they are not lying to us. They say that it's a mineral sunscreen, and it is a mineral sunscreen because it contains zinc oxide, and it is. And I actually would love to try this sunscreen. And it's spitting. Sorry. And I actually would love to try the sunscreen, but yeah, it's not a 100 mineral sunscreen and they don't claim it to be. But they can also say that we have hybrid sunscreen here. And I also love the formula because they also contain iron oxides, which they have a tint to it, so they probably don't have a lot of this butyloctyl salicylate as they have a tint. So they are masking the zinc oxide whiteness with the tint with iron oxides, which adds a protection from visible light. And they also have butyloctyl salicylate to improve the formula to make SPF number bigger. And now, as a comparison, the second sunscreen, the Supergoop mineral sunscreen, the Supergoop 100% mineral sunscreen. And I know we all know and love the Supergoop unseen sunscreen, and it's a chemical sunscreen and it's amazing. If you don't have this sensitivity towards American filters, this sunscreen is amazing. It feels like a primer and I really like it, but I am crying because of it. And yeah, it makes me sad too. And it's a 100% mineral Sheerscreen sunscreen SPF 30, and it's a serious claim, so let's have a look to the ingredient list. And of course we have butyloctyl salicylate, because something mineral, something with zinc oxide in this concentration can be totally unseen, guys. There's no magic here, and if you want the perfect formula, just go for a sunscreen which has chemical filters. But if you are okay with the white cast, whether it's a lot of white cast like in baby sunscreens, or whether it's the light white cast, almost non-seen, which I have tried really great mineral sunscreens, guys. An SPF 30 sunscreen with zinc oxide in this concentration can be this perfect, guys, can be unseen. There will be a lot or a little of white casts, depending on the formula, depending on the brand, depending on the price tag, because if this is a drugstore $4 sunscreen, the formula won't be good regularly, because making a sunscreen is a pain, it's difficult, and making the formula good is difficult. So when something is really perfect, this is a lie. I don't like brands lying to us, not at all, but I do understand where it's coming from. We all want this perfect sunscreen formulas, which won't be like sunscreens, but like Korean sunscreens, which feels like moisturizers. And we all remember the Korean brand's drama with sunscreens, where when tested they got a lower SPF number than it claimed to be. And you know, yeah, if something is too perfect, it's a lie. And guys, I don't say anything bad about Korean sunscreens. They have different regulations now, and I really love Korean sunscreens. And you can see here my video about the top 3 Korean sunscreens, and I really love them. And you know, it's really difficult to make a sunscreen, and everybody now really wants a perfect formula, and it should be mineral, it should be like clean, but it shouldn't make you white, it shouldn't make you greasy. And with mineral filters like zinc oxide and titanium dioxide, it's really difficult. And I see why brands add SPF boosters. Technically, if you're using SPF booster, it's not a chemical or it's not a sunscreen filter if it's not registered, but still the brands could be honest with us. They could come out and say that, guys, sorry, we cannot make 100% mineral sunscreens looking amazing, we just can't, and we are adding SPF boosters, which essentially are chemical filters, so these are hybrid sunscreens, and this will make you look amazing. And if it were like this, I'm okay with that. I'm using chemical filters, I'm using chemical sunscreens. There is no need to be afraid of chemical filters. They are absolutely safe. You can trust me or you cannot. I'm a pharmacist and I know the studies, I read the studies, and there are no studies which show us that sunscreen filters are dangerous. Cancer is dangerous. We know for sure that cancer is dangerous, guys, and premature aging is real. So guys, what I wanted to say with this video is that don't trust anything that is too perfect or too ideal. So it's just, there is no perfection, because there will be no 100% mineral sunscreen which looks like chemical, and where there will be no chemical sunscreen which won't irritate you if you have very sensitive skin. So you just need to pick what is right for you, and you just need to trust the ingredients, not the false claims, not the false advertising. You just need to do your own research, either it's YouTube videos or the studies, and the studies show that there is no harm in sunscreen filters, which are registered, of course. And do use your sunscreen every day, please. And thank you guys for watching this video. And if you want to educate yourself about Korean sunscreens, you can watch my video about top 3 Korean sunscreens. And thank you for watching this video. Bye!